I guess you guys could hear me. I guess you heard me cough. All right, let's do this. Happy Sunday. If you are out there, let me know if you can hear me because I had to change a couple of things in the set for testing this monstrosity right here. The Neo was super interesting and highly annoying. The thing is, I want to be careful about this video that I'm putting out because I don't want to do what everybody else did. So I did something that I know nobody else has done with it. And it kind of took a life of its own. I can't really talk about why. There's a potential opportunity based on this video I just did, which could be pretty massive. So I see two people watching. One is myself because I'm watching on the iPad to make sure. Yeah. I just want to check something super quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. So that is in low latency mode. All right. I'm just going to double check that I can hear myself. Oh, iPad OS, you drive me crazy. You're the bane of my existence. Okay, I can hear myself. Cool. So, if you are in the chat watching, I am curious how you are doing this Sunday. I don't know how long I'm going to be on. I say that every week. So there are two things that are consistent on the Tech Mixer channel. One, I'm going to say that. I don't know how long I'm going to be on, but whatever. I don't know if it's going to be long, to be honest. Another consistency. Second thing is, trying to do this live stream thing every Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern. So if you're kicking around, I know Duke Seb sent a comment on the poll that's on the community tab asking if I was going live at 3, which I am. And Duke's going to show up in like an hour and be like, I didn't know you were live. And it's like, bro, we literally talked about this. But yeah. So, I guess I'll just talk to myself for a little bit in case this stream lives on the YouTube channel. So right here, we've got the MacBook Neo, Stream Deck, MacBook. You know, I said this last week, but I streamed on the Neo 2 weeks ago. And now that I'm back on the M3 Max, you get a very good appreciation for a more powerful computer. That's not to say this is bad. It's just not for me. In fact, it's getting shipped back tomorrow. Apple's interesting. So what they did is they actually have a sorry, one sec. There we go. They actually have a weird return policy. So it's normally 14 days, but because I shipped this to my address, I went to return it last week, and it said I had until April 6th. So I screenshotted the email and all that in case it tried to tell me anything. So it actually gave me a little more time to do some more vigorous stuff with this. So I'm going to ship it back probably tomorrow, which means it's going to end up on the refurb store probably in a month or two. And somebody who's pretty lucky is going to get a MacBook Neo for much lower than retail price. Apple will recondition it if it needs to be reconditioned, which is fairly awesome. But yeah, that's what's going on. I hope the set looks the same from last week. If you've been on the stream before, let me know in the chat because I had to move the camera, which I don't like doing because I want things to be consistent so I can just record. But yeah, it looks like everything's working. My overhead camera is working fine. We've got the the desktop, which is right there, which is showing stream analytics and all that stuff. And we got our iPad, which is right here. Fancy. Okay. And then obviously we have our main scene. So yeah. The reason why videos take so long on this channel is because I'm a tinkerer by nature. Like, I don't want to do what all the other tech reviewers do. And it's funny because all the other tech reviewers are starting to say the same thing. Like, I don't want this to be a habit where, like, I throw up Geekbench and Cinebench scores and stuff like that. Because, like, yeah, they're important, but they don't really represent real-world use. And the thing is with the Neo, everybody's testing video editing and all that stuff and content creation. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want to put that in my video. In fact, it's not really a MacBook Neo review. There's a bigger plan for this video. Something that's not necessarily going to be living as trending, but it's going to be a pretty interesting video. So I've been hard at work at that in the last couple of weeks. Life kind of got in the way. Some stuff came up I had to deal with, so couldn't get any content out. Like when I did the Stream Deck videos, I did those really quick because like those, they look advanced in terms of editing, but for me, they don't take super long to do because I have like a workflow. But when you're testing a product, like things can take a while. You know what I mean? So like, for example, if I were to test like, what do I have here? All right, so I have this 18 millimeter. Oh, that's the wrong. Whoops. Yeah, 18 millimeter Lumix wide angle lens. And if I were to test this, for example, the thing is, I would want to test like different low light performance, autofocus, all that kind of stuff. But I would want to do it like pretty in depth and do some extreme tests that some people might have to use the lens for. Because at the end of the day on the channel, I want to like provide service. Like I want to provide service. I want to provide value. So when I do any videos where I'm diving a little deep, I want to be like informative. I want to provide value. I want to make sure that people who are watching my content are actually getting something from it. I don't want to be like some waste channel, and I don't use AI. I've had some friends reach out with certain videos, like clips that I've done, and they're like, "Oh, you're using AI. That's pretty cool." And it's like, I'm not using AI. I do a lot of work. If you saw the stream last week, I was using the Edelkrone jib system. That's how I can pull off some of the shots, which is pretty sick. But the reality of the situation is like anybody who says that content creation is easy has literally no idea what they're talking about if you're trying to do it to the levels that I am. I just realized that my front camera is not straight compared to my overhead. I'm looking at this inside baseball. So I'm looking at like this edge here. So like if I straighten it like that, I turn, it's a little bit off. So it looks like I got to adjust the camera slightly, but whatever. These are the things you notice when you're live streaming and you're doing content. You kind of, get into the weeds. Yeah, if anybody, I see 2 people watching, so I'm not sure. Whoever the second person is, that's not me. Throw a comment or something in the chat just so I know that my chat's working properly, because I had to switch a lot of stuff in my setup and I had to rewire it. And as a matter of fact, oh, he's here. Duke Seb says, I'm a people. Excellent. Good to see you, people. Yeah. See, you made it. I was trolling you earlier because I said that we were talking on the post and that you were going to show up like an hour after I started. So, Duke, what's happening? How's your Sunday? How you doing? Let's get the conversation started. What do you want to talk about? Yeah, all I was just saying is I literally had to rewire this whole setup. That's a great topic. That's a wonderful topic. Yeah, let's talk about that. Duke, send me your opinion and I will bounce off that. We'll start there. Quickly to wrap though, like I had to reset up my live stream half an hour ago. Most of it was already set up, but like some wiring had to change while I was working on the Neo video. So for this thing, it's not a MacBook Neo review, but it's a MacBook Neo adjacent video. It's interesting. It's something that I think can do well. So yeah, there's that. So let's get to the comments. Like Duke Seb saying, I'm hoping to see some server version though end up in the refurb store, but I doubt it. Yeah. I think I saw a video a while ago when the Mac Pro was first released. I think it was still Intel at the time, and Calvin Harris had a rack mount version of it in like a rollable rack, like a whole rack tower setup cart that he could like cart around the studio with like super long Thunderbolt cables, like just excessive. The only thing you're gonna probably see in the refurb store or like used, you'll see the rack mount version of the Intel one. because that thing is like heavy, chonky, useless, and hot. That's probably what you're going to see. So for those who don't know, Apple decided in their infinite wisdom. Honestly, I just want the case. Yeah, no doubt. So let me go back to this one. So Apple decided in their infinite wisdom to completely sunset the Mac Pro lineup. Now that's current. They could reintroduce it in a couple of years. It's Apple, right? Like they got rid of the Pro Display XDR, and then they got rid of the Mac Pro. Now the interesting thing with the Mac Pro, the Mac Pro, kind of an interesting device because there was rumors when they were doing the M2 Ultra, I want to say. Was it the M2 Ultra or the M1 Ultra? They were saying that they were like, there was these rumblings and probably like wishful rumors, not actual rumors, where they're like, they're going to make a version because the Max is one chip and then the Ultra is two Maxes bound together. And then we're going to have Extreme, which is 4. And that was like kind of one of those wishful thinking rumors. In 5 years, they will come out with the recycling bin version. Yeah, seriously. Hot take. Could you imagine if I don't? By the way, not even a take. I don't think Apple will do this. But could you imagine if Apple revived the trash can version, but with Apple Silicon? I mean, the thing was kind of a thermal disaster. But like we've got like M5 MacBook Airs and even like my M5 iPad Pro right here, which doesn't have a fan in it and can do crazy stuff. But I mean, if the trash can has a good fan and you put Apple Silicon in it, then that could be very interesting. Something I've come to realize, it's this key light. It makes me yawn. What blows my mind is we have computers with iPhone chips, and we have iPads with computer chips. But what's crazy is that they're not allowing us to use. There's my iPad. See, they are not allowing us to use macOS on iPad. And what I think is, I might have mentioned this on a stream, but if you imagine if you have the iPad Pro, right? So you have this one, and you throw the case on it, like you throw the keyboard case on it with the magnetic thing. If there was like a developer mode where you could reboot into macOS and you lose the touchscreen. Unless they make macOS touch compatible, which sounds like they're going to by this rumored MacBook Ultra that they're planning with the OLED display and all that. That would be cool because then now your M5 iPad could serve as a Apple Silicon. It's almost like a makeshift MacBook Air at that point, like a 13-inch. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so that would make a good mod. Put a Neo A18 in it. Yeah, that would be sick actually. Ooh, you could make like, dude, you could make your own like HomePod. So like you would like probably 3D print like a holder for like a small little tablet screen and throw it on the top. And then you mod the MacBook Neo and then use a USB-C to HDMI to connect the display. And then you've got like a little trash can like Neo sitting in the corner of like your living room that can do like all sorts of stuff. It'd be an interesting mod. I'm just speaking out loud. You'd have to plan it better. So Voodoo Weightlifting says, aside from the shipping issues, how do you like the Stream Deck XL? Okay, so the Stream Deck Plus XL. So fun fact, I've used it like 4 times because I've been out a lot. So I've been using the regular XL, right? My beat up one, but that works. The reason I haven't used it so much, let me go to the next comment actually. Debating selling my normal Plus for it. A little apprehensive for how many buttons there are. Might be more than I need. You say that. You say that. If I were you, if I were you, I would just embrace the amount of buttons, because as you start expanding what you can do with your Stream Deck, I will never have enough pages. I will never have enough buttons. It's actually kind of incredible how much I use the page functionality on the Stream Deck. But why I haven't used the XL is because I use an app for Final Cut Pro called Command Post. And I don't use that in my day-to-day. That's for when I'm doing YouTube videos. Like for my day gig, I don't touch Command Post. Well, I do, but not through the Stream Deck, because the Command Post allows you to map things on a control surface, like a Stream Deck, a Loop Deck, a MIDI controller. Like you can do like different key bindings and all that stuff. It's pretty sick. Unfortunately, they haven't got it's an indie team, and like they only just put a paywall behind it for like $10, but it's not even $10. It's like as long as you buy one of their other apps on the App Store, you can use Command Post, but it was free forever. But yeah, it's a very small team working on it, and they're trying to figure out the Stream Deck Plus XL. The problem with the Stream Deck Plus XL is that when you're mapping the buttons, Command Post has like a UI that shows the device. There's not enough room in the UI for Command Post for the Stream Deck XL, so they might have to like recreate the graphic, which is kind of insane. Duke Seb says somebody has already put a Mac Mini instead of an iMac G4. That was awesome. Yeah, I've seen some crazy mods, and like it's incredible. Like, you know, the Mac Mini board has to be tiny, and like if you give it ample cooling, shoot, you could probably put that in like a really small device. Like imagine the power efficiency of running a Mac Mini, and it's running like Home Assistant, and it's running a Plex server, and it's running like some Docker container with like a RAID software that you can like the amount of stuff you can do with the Mac Mini is stupid. And for like the power requirement and the capability is absurd, which translates directly into what we got with the MacBook Neo, which, again, this isn't for me. This computer is nice, but it's definitely not for me because I need more power. You know what the funny thing is, though, is that the MacBook Neo is making me want to buy like a 13-inch MacBook Pro and spec it up a little bit, or even like a 14. Because I'm usually Mr. Chungus. Like, I buy, like, big guy, big computer. So I'll buy, like, the 16-inch MacBook Pro. But, like, if I'm traveling anywhere, like, if I jump on a plane, this thing is cumbersome to be setting up on one of those small trays, right? Where, like, the Neo or, like, a smaller MacBook Pro might make more sense. I don't know. I'd have to mess around with the 14. The thing with the 14-inch versus the MacBook Neo was that it's going to be a lot thicker and a little bit wider, obviously. I know that the Neo is substantially smaller footprint. Smaller footprint versus something like the MacBook Air. But yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, Voodoo weightlifting. Let me go back to your comment here. I don't know. I don't think it'll be more than you need. I am very apprehensive to recommend Elgato anything after the monstrosity of the last like 3 weeks to a month with the Stream Deck Plus XL. One of the things I'm looking forward to is just, and not that I'm going to use it, but like they have the knobs on the front, and in Final Cut, I believe with the Stream Deck Plus, you can turn the knob and it'll move it'll scroll the timeline for you, which is pretty sick. Pardon me. I like the Loop Deck, but the problem is I don't think you can not easily trigger like system macros within macOS on the Loop Deck, which is why I love the Stream Deck, because you can kind of jump back and forth. This company's such a monopoly, because like if there was more competition in the space, they wouldn't be as flagrant as they are. You know, and I'm referring to the way they've been treating customers. Like apparently their Wavelink software is a hot mess. Like it's like every day if I open Reddit or even my email, I get like, you know, people, you know, like, what the hell's wrong with Wavelink? And I'm like, I don't know. It's a shame that the company I work with, who, you know, makes like this USB-C hub, right? Let me get a better view here. This USB-C hub is named Wavelink. And that's a bloody shame, because like, you know, I really like that company. It just sucks that their name is the same name as the monstrosity software that Elgato's put out. Don't use MX Master. Why use anything other than that for Final Cut? Oh, Duke, you have no idea to what degree I do at Final Cut. There is not even close to enough buttons on my Stream Deck XL to handle all the macro stuff I do in Final Cut. Because, like, okay, I can't pull it up because I'm in my other profile for live streaming, so I don't dox myself, but my daily driver, I might have a timeline I can show you. Let me see if I can airdrop something to myself, because I feel like I took a picture of a timeline recently. and sent it to someone, and you'll get an idea of like how in depth the edits tend to get. I know I sent it to this person. Let me see. Yeah, I got a friend. We send each other timelines. So when I did the Elgato prompter, the I'm a sucker for punishment video, let's we'll share it to the iPad. That's fine. Okay, and if I were to go over to my iPad, I can show you. This is a typical edit. Hey, Your Majesty of Yasharel, what's happening? So Duke, this is like a very baby timeline for a Final Cut project for me. The one I'm working on right now for this MacBook Neo / MacBook Neo adjacent video is a little out of control. It is kind of wild. Make sure I'm not. Oh, my neighbor just texted me. So I'll give you guys a little bit of a hint about this MacBook Neo adjacent video. I had to make a lot of noise down here. And I do live in a detached bungalow. However, where I live, there's streams of water that flow through, like between the houses, and that creates openings. And if you play anything super loud down here, specific frequencies, my neighbor can hear it clearly. And they're cool, like they're teachers, and they're doing their thing. So I kind of, before I did what I had to do earlier for this MacBook Neo adjacent video, is I knocked on their door and I was like, hey, heads up, it's gonna be loud for like the next hour. And I stopped that test at like 2:40/2:45 and had to reset everything up to go on stream. Anyway, where was I going? I was going somewhere with that. But yeah, I was just checking my phone, making sure I don't have any super important messages. But yeah, my timelines, they get a little hairy. So the MX Master 3 doesn't make a lot of sense for me. Well, sorry, not to say it doesn't make a lot of sense. I use it, but I have all the buttons used on it. And to be honest, like there's kind of a friction point of jumping back and forth between, so like I'll have my Stream Deck like over here, for example. My computer would be like here, and then my mouse is over here. And I use the trackpad and the mouse in tandem. Just for the scrolling instead of the Excel. Okay, so I don't know if you caught the first part of that sentence. I don't care about that. Other people do. Because I use the trackpad. So like I can't stand the scrolling wheel thing on the MX Master for Final Cut. I don't know, maybe I'm not ambidextrous enough. I don't even know if that's the right term, but like scrolling like this is kind of like insane. Zegwin1, hey, welcome. You're new. Hey, newbie. Hi, I just discovered your channel. I like your content, waiting for fiber to come to my location. Yeah, so I did a lot of fiber videos, but I'm not really focused so much on it. Like if something else occurs in that space, I'll focus on it. Right now, I'm like looking at content creation and tech within content creation, but I'm always open to talk about it. I just, the reason I made the fiber videos, just for anybody watching, I made the fiber videos because nobody else did it. And the ones that were done were like, and there's one in particular, I'm not going to say the creator's name. Nice guy, super nice guy. It was kind of harder to watch because, and not his fault, he's just not experienced at the content creation thing. And I get that. I can respect that. The thing is, his video was like, it was like shot portrait, but he had it turned landscape, and the whole video, you were like watching it like this. I mean, what he did was valuable, but the only thing is that besides his video, all the other videos about fiber to the home were very corporatized. Like they were sponsored by Rogers or Bell, or they were like by some big company like a Global TV or whatever, or like people from those platforms. Nothing wrong with them, but they didn't go into the weeds enough for the tech community. And I felt like, we're like a niche audience. So I wanted to like cover that because I was passionate about it. Because when I remembered before I got fiber, I was on Rogers, and before I got Bell Fiber to the Home, I was on Rogers, and I remember writing down questions like, what would if I were to make a video about fiber once I get it, what are the things I want to know in the mind frame I'm in right now, not having the fiber connection, right? So that's why those videos kind of hit, because I filled a content gap. But you can only talk about that so much till you get sick of it. So Duke is back here with, you know what, you're right now that I think about it. I use a trackpad for that, 2 mouse for pointing, trackpad on the left for precision. Yeah, I use the 3-finger drag in accessibility, so I can like move stuff with 4 fingers, and like I've got like a whole system. That's partly why when I was starting the MacBook Neo video, I wanted to do a system migration, because I wanted to try to get all of my workflow shortcuts on the Neo. And the problem is it was failing, and I have tried a couple times even since, even like 2 days ago, still not migrating. So it doesn't matter, it's going back. But yeah, I have a ton. Like I even so Duke, like, do you have a channel? I don't even know if Duke has a channel. I am going to go to your channel. Okay, so Duke, you got a few videos up here. Okay, so what's your typical editing workflow? Like, what do you typically do? You do not have a channel. Well, you have the channel you're talking on, but you don't have like a, like, you're not doing the pushing content creation thing, which is fine. Yeah, I have, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Dylan John Dickerson. He's a Final Cut editor. His videos, I think, oh, okay, dope. You do videos for your wife's channel. All right. Hey, we talked about her before. She's the smarter one. I can't remember what the context behind that was, but yeah. So Dylan John Dickerson, I think he's one of the most underrated Final Cut tutorial YouTubers. His stuff looks beautiful. His stuff looks insane. But his workflow management, like, I like for cutting, like blading, like I changed some of my shortcut keys to match what he advised in a video, and it sped me up like probably 2 times as fast. And that's like one optimization. In the last like few years, I have gotten very fast, and with the help of the Stream Deck, my carpal tunnel is like gone, which is amazing. It's absolutely wonderful. So that's dope. Okay. How long have you been editing, Duke? How long have you been doing that? I see 8 people watching, by the way. Hello, 8 people. Happy Sunday. Let's see here. So I had to laugh a while ago when I set up my Photoshop with my mouse and trackpad, then went off to another computer without a trackpad, and I was all messed up. Yeah, that's, here's one for you. Speaking of the trackpad, if I open this, I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to go overhead. So just for the sake of this, if I open it, it's going to boot up, and it's annoying. Let's just pretend this is the trackpad right here. They have the natural scrolling. So in macOS Lion, I think they added the natural scrolling. And I had just got on Mac with Snow Leopard, like probably the year before that. And I hated the natural scrolling with a passion. I tried it for like 2 weeks, and I'm like, nope, we're going back. I can't. So when on and off for 20 years. Okay, so you've been, 20 years. That's a long time. So you might be pretty good in Final Cut. I might learn some stuff from you. Oh my God, I hate natural scrolling. Yeah, so every computer, when I set it up, my first pain point is in the setup screen. It's like, where country are you in? Well, I'm in Canada, and I go to scroll, and I'm like, frig. And then I'm like, all right, just get through this. And the very first thing I change is I change it back to normal scrolling. It's hilarious because, like, when you scroll, as I drop my iPad, yikes. We caught it. We did it. How did you fall? Oh, the hub got snagged. Okay, well, that'll do that. Anything can happen on a live stream. What I was going to say is, what's funny on a phone is natural scrolling matches what you do on your phone. Like when you're like, scrolling like this, right? Yeah. Touch interface is different. I want to address something that has been in my head for a while. And I'm going to say it now, and somebody will rip me off for saying it, but whatever, it's fine. I'm going to boot the MacBook Neo. As soon as I open it, it's going to boot up. Okay. Yep, there it goes. I'll shut it down in a second. So there's this conversation about Apple making a touchscreen Mac. And there's one pain point I have with touchscreens outside of the fingerprint nonsense. Let me just shut this thing down. I love how fast this thing boots up for what it is. Here's my issue with a touchscreen Mac. Okay, so we've got it here. It's cool. Put it here. If I'm touching, you see the screen? It's wobbling, right? So we don't want the wobbly screen. I hope, if they're going to call that thing the MacBook Ultra, that it's heavier than a normal MacBook Pro, which some people will find annoying. Like, oh no, it hurts my back when I have it in my backpack. I don't know why I'm talking like that. But what I would like is, what if it was a weighted screen? So basically, I'm going to put my hand back here. If it was a weighted screen and you go to touch it, it barely moves. I just hit the trackpad. It's going to turn on again. Yep, there it goes. I hate that you can't disable that. So yeah, like if you were going like this, if I were tapping on macOS, I would start losing my mind if my screen started like... Not that I'm like punching the computer at all times. Let me shut this thing down again. Well, now that we have it open, yeah. The natural scrolling thing. Yeah, F that. F that noise. Yeah, Dukesub says, yes, you can disable auto boot. No, you can't. I've tried the terminal command. It comes back. But yeah, Duke, that's what I'm saying. Who cares if it's heavier? If you like, okay, here's my argument to that. If the Ultra is a different tier, so if Apple were to keep the Macs or like the regular MacBook Pro, and then they had the MacBook Pro Ultra, stupid naming, but that's besides the point. If they had a non-touch version, a non-touchscreen version, then that would be your lighter one, right? I just think that like the biggest thing I hate, like I'll be out working and I see people with touchscreens and it's like, I see, especially like I see college chicks that are like working and they're like, oh, I hate this. There's fingerprints all over my screen. And I'm like, you shouldn't have ate that brownie and then went touch crazy on your computer, lady. But all right, do you, man? You know, I'm just not the audience for a touchscreen Mac. I feel the same way. I don't think I'm the audience either. But I'm trying to think of this from the standpoint of like, that's kind of like the knobs on the Stream Deck Plus XL. I'm not the audience of people who want that fine-tuned control on the Stream Deck XL. Some people will, though. And some people can't imagine a computer without a touchscreen now, which personally to me is insane. I'm not the touch audience, right? Like, I have the iPad Pro. I wish it wasn't touchscreen and it just ran macOS. I wish this was a MacBook Air, to be honest. But there's definitely some utility to this, though. So, like, I will run the Sidecar and use this as a second monitor when I'm on the road wirelessly. I am surprised how low the latency is. In fact, I was at a Starbucks. I was playing a video and I walked to the other side of the cafe. 4K streaming. Nothing was connected to Wi-Fi. So like the computer wasn't connected. The iPad wasn't connected. It was fine. Here's a crazier one. Tried the same test with the Neo, with the iPad. Same thing. Incredible. The fact that Sidecar even works with the MacBook Neo on the iPad, and it's the same experience as like my M3 Max, incredible. It must be something to do with the way they handshake over Wi-Fi. It must be a combination of like Bluetooth Wi-Fi, because I know you have to have both of those enabled for Sidecar to work. But yeah, I agree. I'm not the audience for a touchscreen Mac, and I think there are people that would love that. I was hoping that the Neo was touchscreen, because Apple has adamantly said, and they've been quoted saying, we're never going to make a touchscreen Mac. Because if they made the Neo touchscreen as the first Mac as a touchscreen, there's the beta testing implications. But on top of all that, that'd have been the best troll ever. That would have been so awesome if they were just like, yeah, we're effing with you. Enjoy macOS Tahoe with touch. Which, when you use Tahoe and iPadOS and iOS 26 and all that stuff, yeah, There's definitely breadcrumbs that we're getting a touch interface version of macOS. I'd rather a touch keyboard, Duke says. I like a tactile keyboard. That's my own preference. I think the Mac keyboard is so underrated. Um, Sorry, not overrated or underrated. I think it's like where it's supposed to be. I think if the problem, Duke, is that if they change the keyboard, people will cuss. People will get so mad at Apple, But at the same time, if you remember when the Force Touch trackpad came out, where they got rid of the mechanical switch, like what's in the Neo, hilariously, people were screaming like, "Oh, they're gonna ruin the trackpad!" And now that the Neo has the old mechanical style trackpad, and people are going, "Oh no, it's not the Force Touch." So Apple might just go pure Apple and make something amazing that's touch type. You never know, right? I bet in the Apple skunkwork, the touch, guaranteed. So little inside baseball. I'll leave that comment up. When I was at Apple in 2023, I had a conversation with some leads at the Pro Apps team. Now, at this point, M3 Max had just been announced like 2 weeks before. So we're like right in the midst of Apple Silicon, right? So now it's like a healthy stage where it's like proven. I told them about my Hackintosh, which by the way is still running. And it's connected to iCloud. Never had a problem. That computer's insane though. That's like an i9 18 core with 128 gigs of RAM. So, I could get someone's kidney for the RAM. It's great. But it's DDR4, it's DDR4 3200. But they know about, they're like, yeah, we have a whole department. The guy was like, yeah, we have a whole department that like we've set up Hackintoshes just to see like how it's done, not to circumvent it because we don't care, because like the whole point of, and they even said they're like, the whole point of having a computer is to tinker with it, right? That's why we don't really get pissed off about Hackintosh. Now, jailbreaking is another story. Jailbreaking an iPhone, iPad, that kind of stuff, they get a little pissed off about. But he was like, yeah, have fun with your Hackintosh. He's like, we're not going to break it. The only way we're going to break it is Apple Silicon's eventually going to take over and Intel's going to get disabled. But we're not, But like in terms of your comment about like in the Apple skunkwork is a touch keyboard Mac, guaranteed. Like they must prototype. There's probably like hundreds of prototypes that we'll never see. We might see like one for every 100. They might do like 100 prototypes a year. We might see one prototype get leaked in a photo like years later. It's crazy. Duke says, the thing people don't know is what they want until you show them. Agreed. And you can't make anyone happy if you look at the original iPhone. Everyone said it was stupid because of no keyboard. Yeah, what was it? I think it was Steve Ballmer. Is that who it was for Microsoft? I'm misquoting that probably. Is my overhead out of focus? That is super annoying. Sorry, I just noticed that. Oh, that means that you guys have been looking at like terribly focused things on the stream. Let me fix that. There we go. Yeah, so the comment about like, what's funny is I have a cousin who lives about half an hour away. No, Balmer was about the cost of it. Yeah, so I have a cousin, my cousin Christina. Christina, up until very recently, was still on a BlackBerry because of the keyboard. I used to, I still clone her really hard. Like, we'll go for dinner, and I'm like, yeah, why don't you send me a text message on your, like, ancient, 18th century communications device? I'm like, listen, like, you might wake the neighbors with your clicks. Try to send me a message at, like, 9 o'clock saying, are we still good for dinner tomorrow? It's like, and sometimes I would text her in, like, mid 18th century speak. I'd be like, thou shalt not texteth me in your internet communications device forthright. Like, I would just throw random 18th century lingo at her because she refused. She only recently got a touchscreen phone and she hates it. Like, hates it. And I'm like, live in the now. Like, come on. Like, make it make sense. I don't know why you're still using why you're still feeding for a BlackBerry. Like, we always see those bolt-on cases where like it has a battery inside and it probably connects via USB-C and just connects to the phone and it creates like a keyboard with buttons. she eyes those all the time, and I'm like, just get used to the touchscreen. It ain't going nowhere. It's only gonna get worse. It's kind of like AI. I do think it's a shame what happened in BlackBerry RIM. The software wasn't great, but the last models of their phones, like the Z10 and the 9900, were great hardware, especially to repair. Yeah, that was what was that? What are we talking, like 2008 to 2010? I could have the years completely wrong. That was such a good era for a lot of things. Like, we take that for granted. I feel like that was also like YouTube's like big breakout moment. The people who were like creating on YouTube, who are still creating today, they had the best time on YouTube. That's the real back in the day. But yeah, like repairability was so awesome back then. You would have a lot of mom and pop computer shops just around. Like I could drive down the street and find like three. But unfortunately, that was like the beginning of the end of that era. It's kind of like now you buy Apple Silicon. You ain't going to a mom and pop shop to fix that. That's a tall order, unfortunately. But yeah, no, that era, man. Oh, Duke, you had a shop. Nice. Whereabouts was it? That's interesting. I worked for so before I was a Future Shop technician, which was very short lived. Weird story there. I was a sales associate. I had my A+, and I got in a big fight with a technician. So this will date me. At the time, we were selling, I want to say 40 gig quantum fireball hard drives. And a customer came in with a Pentium Coppermine 733. It's a Pentium 3. And it had a BIOS that wouldn't allow over 32 gigs. So I said, just install the overlay. And they were like, no, we don't want to install the overlay because they're going to get buffer underruns when they burn a CD. That whole sentence it just dates me. But I remember I got mad at him and I said, well, okay, here's how you fix that. He's like, well, you're going to have a performance overhead issue if you add the overlay to auto exec bat before it boots into, at the time, I don't think XP was out yet. No, XP was out. Yes, XP was out. And I was like, no, there's a way around this. Here's what you do. I basically said, you're stop daisy chaining the hard drive to the burner. You have two buses, right? You have two IDE buses. You have like your primary and your secondary. Throw the burner on secondary on its own cable, right? Or if the customer had money, you go SCSI, but another story. Wow, I feel nostalgic talking about this. Anyway, he got mad at me and he wouldn't do it. And then another tech tried to do it, but then they daisy chained the burner to the hard drive, and then the customer was burning coasters. So it was super annoying. And then I got mad because I was commission paid. Like I had a base pay, but I got commission for service and warranty and all that. So the customer came in and did a refund, and I looked at the customer and said, look, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but like, can I just like buy everything and bring it by and set it up? And if it works, I'll charge you then. And if it doesn't work, then we'll just set everything back the way it was. And they were like, sure. Anyway, they used that computer for like 8 years. My manager got mad at me and I was like, well, you can get mad at me all you want, but like, I knew what to do. Your team didn't know what to do. And I ended up getting the sale with warranty. And then they're paying me separately for on-site because you guys were jackasses and wouldn't listen to how it actually works. So you were in Halifax. I could disassemble an iPhone 4 in 13 minutes to repair a screen. Was making $30 profit. A screen was like 120 an hour in 2010. And that's a very lucrative and smart business because back then, iPhone 4s were super popular. I had one. I remember lining up for that phone, and it was like a rare iPhone event that was in June. And I remember it was summer and we lined up for it. And I remember there was like in Ontario where I live, that mall, there might have been like 800 people in line. Insane. Those are the good old days. You can pre-pandemic where you can like show up with a tent and make friends that you never ever talk to again after, which, those good times. They had a Moxie's in there, and Moxie's, they would literally serve the lineup. Not alcohol, they would serve them food. And I was like, this is amazing. And they would stay open super late. And, that was, good times. But yeah, if you, Duke, I don't know how old you are, but if you can relate to anything I just said about the Future Shop thing. Anyway, after that happened, it was one of those like serve the customer first, apologize later situations. And I went back and forth with the tech manager, and then the store manager was like, well, I can't deny the fact that you got it done and the customer's happy and the customer's coming in and buying more stuff. So like you were able to retain a customer. So seeing as you're very driven to like help people, maybe you should be a tech, because there was like a waiting list, but everybody was like so got their heads up their asses that, and okay, like I'm stubborn, but I know when I'm beat. And if I don't know something, I ask, you know, and if somebody can show me something I don't know, it's even better. That's why I recommend like Dylan John's channel for Final Cut. But what I find interesting is I got into the back and I was working technician for a few months. And just the like they did things very like by the manual, which I guess is fine if the manual was cohesive. I didn't follow the manual because I'm like, no, like this stuff can go out faster, you know? Like I remember they would get customer return computers and like, oh, okay, well, we're just gonna format it and put it. Some customers would say the computer is broken, and I'm like, okay, well, what you should do is test them. So I was like, well, we could take like 5 returns and just run, you know, we used to run like, I'm trying to remember what program it was. It was like a benchmark that would just run 24 hours. And if some computers shut off, I'm like, all right, those ones have to be looked at. But if the other ones were still on, it's like, all right, well, hardware-wise, the computers are fine. So you know what? Just format it. You know, wipe all the low-level the drive, get rid of all the customer information, format it, and put a fresh OEM install of Windows, which kind of sucked to get keys back then for each new unit because you had to explain why you were wiping it and all this crap. It was a whole thing. But yeah, that was that. And then Future Shop decided they were going to do in-store testing. So that same idea, but like take into like the whole store. That was a disaster. And I got laid off because they cut the program because we were the only store doing it. And the other stores were like, the guys were just sleeping in the back getting paid. But the problem with Future Shop is when you sign to work for them, you can't go back to the position you were in for a year. And because I started on like the floor, then I became like a peripheral, like graphics cards and hard drives and CD burners, like salesperson. I already went through the 2 that I would work. And I'm like, I'm not going to go work in home theater. Like I like home theater, but I'm not going to sell home theater to people. It just wasn't my thing. So I was like, nah, I'm out of here. So, dude, I used to go to the Future Shop in North York when I was a teenager and sell the Macs for them because all their employees would not touch them. Didn't even work there. Nice. I've been there. I've done that. You know, it's such a different world because back then you could do stuff like that and you were like, okay, so here's your throwback. So you used to go to like Future Shop, CompuCenter, Radio Shack or Circuit City if you were like, oh God, let's go look at Tandy computers and other Amstrad at the Brick and all that stuff. Like, yeah, no, I'm old, so I remember a lot of this. But yeah, like, man, Future Shop North York. It's funny, I said I wouldn't sell home theater. I had a friend of mine I grew up with who became a home theater salesperson at that Future Shop in North York. And he got a customer who refused. He had a problem with the installers from Future Shop from North York because they drilled a hole in his wall and like it was a disaster. So my boy calls me up. He says, yo, I've got a big install, but like, I don't want to send it to the home theater guys because they're going to mess it up again. And the customer's already mad at it. This is before I worked at Future Shop. So he sold the customer everything with warranty and was like, yo, do you want to come do a home theater? And the condo, if I remember, it was like in North York somewhere. It was nice. It was a very nice place. And I like really cut my teeth in learning, like, you know, extending the cables out a certain way, hiding everything, tucking everything. I was probably like 18, 19 at the time. But yeah, those were the good old days where you could walk into a store and kind of be like, whatever. Now it's like if you walk into like a shop and you know as much, if not more, than the person in that industry, it borders on you might have a mental health thing. That's how people start treating you, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, like I walk into what's it called? I walk into camera shops and I know nothing about nothing when it comes to cameras. Like, I mean, this setup is nice, but like I'll walk into like a camera shop and be like, oh, like that's a G Master. That's a new one. Oh, that's cool. You know, it's like I'm not I'm not a super camera guy, but I know enough to get me by to like figure it out. Dude, the 90s were great. We were the last generation of both worlds. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, for those who don't know, I was born in 1980, so I am 45 years old. I will be 46 this year. Um, I grew up in the days of the beginning of my life was very like cable TV was like you were rich. Otherwise, you had like an antenna TV, you know, and for the most part, your TV was perpetually on channel 3 or channel 4 because you were routing it through a VCR that had a better channel switcher or like a cable box. Well, the cable boxes were later. Um, and then people would buy black boxes to like pirate and all that stuff. Like that's kind of the era I came from. Like my first computer, my parents bought at a store in Etobicoke called HQE. They had a promotion called Christmas in July. And Christmas in July, it's like plus 32, 34 outside, like incredibly hot. And this poor Santa is wearing like the whole outfit. But the manager at the store felt such I guess empathy for the Santa that the store was freezing. But corporate wanted the Santa to go out and like dance on the street to get people to come in because they were promoting Christmas in July. But anyway, we bought the computer there. It was an IBM PS2 Model 30 286, and it came with the original, and I still have it, the original IBM PS2 keyboard. No mouse because it shipped with PC DOS 4.0 and a 20 meg hard drive and half a meg of RAM. So we weren't even at the 640. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Yeah, it had half a meg of RAM, not even 640 kilobit. And if you went over 640, you would have to access upper memory and use like EMM 386 and high mem. But the problem was IBM PCs would reserve 80 kilobytes of your conventional memory for some reason, and that would wreak havoc in certain games. Like if you're playing older Sierra games, like DOS games. Dude, it was great. You would start a music download at 8 p.m. Your mom would pick up the phone and kill the modem. Yeah, I saw an episode of the IT Crowd. If you haven't seen that show, you need to watch that show. There's a part where they're like, oh, the routers are going slow. And they're like, oh, it's painfully slow. It reminds me of the days of dial-up. You'd be up all night and you'd only see two girls. Like, that was the funniest crap ever. I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. Like, man, those are the good old days. I remembered, not that I ever sailed the high seas, but there would be like a movie that was in MPEG format, not even DVD yet. DVD wasn't out yet. Yeah, IT Crowd is great. Yeah. I remember I had a buddy of mine. He was like, all right, I'm going to go on the FTP. It's broken into 5 parts. We were on he had 56K because he was a baller. I had a US Robotics 28.8 external modem. And he's like, okay, I'm going to grab parts 1, 3, and 5. You're going to grab parts 2 and 4. And we both had burners, but we had dial-up, right? So, in all these pictures that never load the part of the picture you wanted until the end. That's awful. That's so awful. Yeah, like, the kid... I'm going to... Here comes my old guy. The kids these days will never understand. Like, you could open TikTok. You could, like... I could throw my phone in 5G right now and watch a 3-hour movie in 4K on Netflix without any buffering. Like, versus trying to, like, look at a picture, let alone a series of pictures at 29 to 30 frames a second in 4K without any buffering, with sound and like spatial audio and all this stuff. Like, the things that technology enables is incredible. It's actually kind of related to what my MacBook Neo adjacent video. There's something that people are not considering when it comes to the MacBook Neo. Nobody has considered it. And if they have considered it, they haven't done a deep dive on it, which is what the video I'm working on is. That's why I haven't posted in a while. It's not because I'm like, no, I'm not doing YouTube. I've done more work for this channel in the last week than I did all of January and February and some of March. And if you noticed, I was posting a lot then. But it's the good old days, man. Like, where technology has gone has enabled such amazing things. But the problem is, I don't know if the next generation is going to have a good old days. Like, can you imagine like a 50-year-old going, remember when AI was like popular? Like when it was first coming out? I don't understand. Maybe I'm too old to understand it, right? But I don't know. I think the AI thing is kind of scary because it's robbing people of creating stuff themselves. You know. By the way, I want to actually go back to the root of this, the Mac Pro, because that's what you brought up. I love the idea of the Mac Studio. I think Apple's in a very interesting place. Oh, you know what? Wait, we'll get back to that. Hey, answer me something. Were you part of the Cyber Cafe crowd playing local Quake tournaments with coffee and treats? Kind of. My buddy used to go to Humber. No, sorry, I have that wrong. He went to Sheridan, and they would like he was doing what's it called? Networking. I can't remember the name of the course. But I remember he would like when they weren't using the lab, they would take over and it would be Quake tournaments. But it would be like the Dragon Ball Z mod of Quake, and you're just playing against everybody, you know. But yeah, no, I never like the thing is the area I lived in within the GTA the specific area had a heavy Asian population. And they had a cyber cafe that was really early. It was like one of the first ones that was in the GTA. And I remember going in there and being like, whoa, this is a culture shock. This is wild. I never really frequented. I always wanted to, but then like it was, I was at that age, like, my early 20s to late teens. And I was trying to find a job more than anything. I didn't have a lot of money. So it was like, all right, I don't want to. I knew myself. I'm like, I'm going to spend all my money in this place. So I would like, for me, if I wanted to play games or like have fun like that, I would take $10, get a ton of quarters and go play Street Fighter at the local arcade. I'm not good at Street Fighter. I'm like, I understand the lore, but I could do Akuma's Raging Demon. Yeah. But yeah, no, I never got into the FPS like LAN party thing, which is a shame because like I look at some of the people I know who do LAN parties and that stuff, and they're having so much fun. They're having a time, and I kind of envious of that because in that era, not only was I looking for like a real job, but I was also DJing a lot. So my weekends would be basically done for, and then my sleep schedule would get all screwed up. Hey Hassan, how you doing? Yeah, I saw you followed me on Instagram. Thank you. I got to what's it called? I got to post more to that Instagram account. But yeah, I think you commented on something fairly recently that I answered. I'm pretty bad about that, but it's Monday morning, 7 a.m. here down under. Oh, dope. Okay. Oh, you were probably asking me about either Stream Deck or something Elgato related, like Prompter. Okay. It's hard to remember all the comments. I apologize. No, it's great to see you though. Awesome. Duke says, I miss local LAN, something that doesn't require Steam. It sucks now. Yeah, I mean, you can still do it. It's just a lot of work. Like you need a computer in between that can handle. So like if you have like, say you have 2 laptops, you'll need a third laptop to like locally host. Right? But it's not like what was the term, ad hoc, where you can just like connect them with a crossover cable. Yeah, the good old days. I miss those days. I miss like eras where like RAID 0 became kind of popular, and it was like, I want to see how quick these 2 80 gig hard drives will run in RAID 0. And then you had like your one dumb friend who would install Windows on their RAID 0, and then like it would get corrupted and they would lose everything, I miss the days where it was like exciting. I remember when DivX came out, where it was like, wait a minute, you can fit DVD quality video and audio on a CD. And I was like, there's no way this is real. Because DivX is basically, I want to say, I could have this wrong. DivX and Xvid was after, was kind of the pioneering open source beginnings of what we know as MPEG-4, H.264. It's a variant of that, and AVC and all that stuff. But like, you know, I remember like I would do stupid tests. Like I would take I would encode like 10 seconds of a movie in different codecs with different bit rates using a Gordian knot, and I would like pull them in like a Lumascope reader. And I would literally just like take a look at how the encoding would act with certain scenes. I'm a nerd. And this is the point of this video. The name of the video of the live stream is why some videos take forever on this channel, is because this is where my brain goes. I do stupidness like this. Yeah, I found your channel recently. I love it so far. Thank you so much. That actually means a lot. I try. And I'll fill you in. Why I haven't posted recently is because I'm actually working on a very in-depth video about this thing, MacBook Neo. But it's not about MacBook Neo. It's about something else. But it ties into MacBook Neo very heavily. That video is taking a while. This thing is going to get returned tomorrow or Tuesday. I do have one more test I want to try to run on it tomorrow when I have some time. As long as I have it shipped back, but I think it was April 5th, they said. Yeah. So the reason videos take so long on the channel is because I get into the weeds. I get pretty hardcore into the weeds. But yeah, you know, I'm having fun, you know, and I appreciate everybody. Like Duke is awesome. I clown Duke, but Duke is pretty awesome. Hassan, you're cool. There was somebody else in here earlier. What was it? Weightlifting. There was a couple of people actually. Voodoo Weightlifting and Your Majesty of Yasharal. Yeah, like, you know, I feel like I got like a nice little group here that's hanging out. So I appreciate that. I should really promote the stream on social platforms, but my social platforms don't really have much following, so I have to build that following. It's a whole thing. But yeah, try and do my best here, you know. I would love a Neo if it had 16 gigs of memory. Otherwise, it'll become e-waste for me soon as well. Exactly why I'm returning it. I think what I pull... Okay, the thing that I'm testing, I'm not going to say what it is because that will spoil it. It should not... I know it's possible, but it shouldn't be possible to the extent that it is on this thing. However, the thing that I tested, I don't recommend people buy the Neo to do. I know this is very like nebulous, and I'm not really saying the right words here to entice you to watch that video. That part of the video means a lot to me because it's a part of my life that I don't really embrace anymore, but like it was a fun part of my life. Again, super nebulous. You'll see a title on the channel. I already have the title and thumbnail worked out. I've already got the intro and all that worked out. When you see like something about Apple Silicon, that's the video. And it will all make sense when you watch that video. But I was testing some stuff with the Neo. The fact that it does how well it does with 8 gigs of RAM, it's kind of incredible, but I'm with you, Hassan. Like, I really, really wish this thing had even 12 gigs, you know? Your Majesty, I really enjoy the stream from Bermuda every weekend. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. Funny enough, hang on, where is that? Got this drive. I'm going to reach up for a moment. I've got, let's see. So we've got, I'm going to show the overhead. This 2 terabyte Evo, which is in a caddy. This memory card. I've got stuff stored on my, on the MacBook Neo that I moved over to my M3. I'm just going to get up for 1 sec. I just got to grab something. One moment. So, I also have this memory card, which is being covered by the chat. So, there is a lot of footage that's split between these 3 things, plus other footage I had to do on the Neo using screen recording, which I need to look into this before I publish this video. That when you screen record, it doesn't. When you're outputting through HDMI, it doesn't take any extra GPU power because there's a display engine in Apple Silicon, which is very interesting. But yeah, I have a ton of, and the thing is, this is my one day off. So for those who don't know, if you didn't know, I work 5.5 days a week. So I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday's a very busy day. Friday I work a little bit extra. Saturday I work a half day. This is for my main contract gig. And then I have half of Saturday and all of Sunday off, which is why I'm doing the live stream today. But on top of that, and this I won't talk about, not for a while, but there's another commitment that I have to tend to at least twice a week. It's family related, so that's why I don't really want to talk about it on stream right now. But when I'm done this stream, which is why I'm not going to stay on too much longer, this set of stuff and this MacBook and this iPad are going with me to a Starbucks. I'm going to eat dinner, and then I'm going to go to Starbucks until they close at 9:30 and work on this other video. And I'm going kind of hard. Like, I'm trying my best to get this out, but like life gets in the way. Like, it's crazy. Time to DOS dude that Neo with 32 gigs of RAM and a terabyte hard drive. Yeah. So like, I'm not. So here's the thing. I'm also not like, maybe this is gonna hurt me long term, but you know how you were talking earlier, Duke, about iPhones, about repairing iPhone 4 screens. My hands are too shaky. Now, I don't know if that's because I drink too much coffee. Oh, the autofocus is tripping. Thanks, Lumix. Hang on, let's fix that. Okay, there we go. I don't know if this is because I drink too much coffee, but I am not good at soldering these micro components. I have broken more things than I'm willing to admit. I don't know. When I was in my 20s, I was a lot better, but then as I got older, it just wasn't a thing. You know, like, even like when I was a DJ, like, I had a buddy do the grounding wire for my turntables, for my 1200s, which are like from the 70s. They got like big pads and all this stuff, and they're fairly easy to do, but like my hands were too shaky to do it. So I'm more of a, I'm a tech enthusiast. I think I'm a great diagnoser. That's not even a word. I'm good at diagnosing issues to solve them. So like I can find the root cause of a problem and work my way backwards to figure out what happened. That's why to who was it who was saying it earlier? I think it was it weightlifting? I feel like it was weightlifting. Hang on, let me find the comment. So I'm just trying to scroll I also fixed my display resolution, so everything is way easier to see now, and life is good. What you mean to say is we're getting old? Yeah. Listen, the one thing about that nebulous MacBook or nebulous Apple video is if you're having a midlife crisis, this whole content is just for you, because I've realized that I'm probably having some kind of a midlife crisis. Oh, yeah, it was Voodoo. So Voodoo said debating selling my normal Plus for the Stream Deck Plus XL. A little apprehensive for how many buttons there are. That's the thing, is like when you get into that pattern of like diagnosing things and working backwards, if you think about that and you start working forwards and you build macros, like I use an app called Keyboard Maestro for Mac, which probably, I hate the term game changing, but it was game changing. Like it was like, I'm using it for a couple years now, and I'm like, where the hell would I be without this app? It's granular. It's the most Windows feeling Mac app I've ever used. And I don't mean that in a janky bad way. I mean that in the Windows being super customizable, like, and yet fluid at times. Like it's a Mac app that works like a Mac app, but it feels like something you would find in Windows, not on Mac. And the things you can do, it's incredible. It's all like, I would even say like Linux users would love this thing. You know, they probably have something built into Linux or like some crazy app that everybody uses for toggling macros with hardware. But yeah, the thing is dope. Yeah. But basically, to Duke's point, yeah, we're getting old. We're getting old. Hey, Mark Harnum's here, still using the Commodore 64, keeping it real. You know, what's funny is my cousins. My cousins had the same cousin that lives close to you. By the way, for those who don't know, Mark Harnum, I contract to his business. So my cousin who lives near to you, Mark, when we were kids, they had a Commodore 64. That I believe they also had the tape drive. So like it was a cassette tape, and they would have programs on it. You put it in, and you had to rewind it to a certain part. It was a whole thing. But we would play like I still have nostalgic feelings for Classic Concentration, which is like the match card game. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and Wheel of Fortune on Commodore 64. Those were the best. And I remembered when I got DOS on an IBM computer in the 80s, like the late 80s. I yearned so much for those games. And when they did come out on PC, they weren't the same. So, yeah. I mean, Mark, you're still using an older Final Cut 7. So, yeah, I guess you are still using the Commodore 64 and keeping it real. No, but, like, that's the thing. Like, the world changed. And I'm okay with it. Like, I'm moving along with it just fine. But I can understand where there's some frustration for a lot of people. Yeah, like I don't like this AI craze. There are things about AI that are really cool, but there are things about AI that are like you're robbing people with the ability to build skill sets, which is kind of annoying, but evolution, right? Duke Seb says, LOL, I used to play Family. Yes, Family Feud was another one. Family Feud on an 8086 in Orange County. Yeah. In Orange. Oh, you mean Black and Orange. Wow. Okay, yeah, that's a throwback. Mark, you probably remember this. Back in school, the first terminal computers that they had were like these like IBMs. They looked like they could fold into like a carrying case, but they were like this big. The screen might have been like yay big. It was off to the side like here, and then you had like your big floppy drive was here, and you had the keyboard. But the color was either like green text and a black background, or orange text and a black background. Whoa. That made me really nostalgic. Oof. Just thinking about that. That's crazy. Wow. Hey, Duke, I gotta ask you, how old are you? That's funny. See, we're from the good old era of like IRC and meeting people off the internet. You type like ASL, and hopefully it's like, yeah. So, Duke, you're a little bit older than me. You're only probably not by much. You're 46. I'm 45. So, yeah, we're same kind of boat, right? Uh-oh. What? I don't know what the uh-oh's about, but yeah, those were the good old days. Those were fun. I am tempted one day to bring the 286 out for a video. Oh, ICQ, yeah. There you go. Yeah, ICQ. My ICQ number was 957988835, and the reason I remember that is because for some reason on one of my installs of Windows, ICQ refused to save my login and password, so I just had to type it all the time. Another one was my modem init string, AT and F1. Like, I'm not going to say the whole thing, but it was my password for a very long time because it was like one of those super long init strings I built, which like would dial the number just as fast enough that it would actually register to the phone company. Kevin K, word up. Don't share it on Reddit. Don't share it on Reddit because I'm going to jump off shortly. I'm jumping off in like 10 minutes. Kevin K's here. What up? And word up. Yeah, Duke. So I was thinking about ICQ. So I remembered my password, and I had the same problem with a BBS program. It wouldn't save my init string. So I was just like, all right, I'll just type it. Dude, I remember my library card number from way back then because I didn't want to use the internet in the library. 14 digits. Jeez. Hey, Kevin, see, let me know what you think. We're talking nostalgic tech here. The stream kind of went off the rails for a sec. Yeah, like we're talking about like, not even just ICQ. We're talking about like old computer terminals when we were kids that were like in orange and black, like the suitcase IBM computers and, the PS2 keyboard and like, like I think for like Kevin K and Mark Harnum who are in the chat, I think for them, their heyday was like the ability to record records. like to save wave files, and then the creation, the not creation, but the popularizing of MP3 was incredible. Actually, miss ICQ for sending files. Mark and I send MP3s back and forth all the time. Yeah, totally legal MP3s though. Nothing that sailed the high seas. You remember Hotmail with only 5 buttons before Microsoft bought it? Oh yeah, oh yes. I still have a Hotmail account. I don't use it for anything. It's like a spam account. I use it for one thing, but if the account went away, I wouldn't care. It's not the end of the world. Mark taught me about MP3s and had high speed before me. Yeah, Mark definitely knew. I remember I heard a story. I can't remember who it was who told me this, but Marky D, as the DJ, they would refer to him as Marky CD because he would come in with like this like case of like, it was like a, not a binder. I think it was like a box of CDs when like he first really started hitting off in the clubs. I can't remember who told me that. Somebody told me that in the last like year or two, which is really funny. Yeah. Duke, this is like the DJ talk, but yeah, yeah, that whole era, man, it's so fun, you know. And you see remnants of it, like, you look at yeah, and they used to call me the burner. We were talking about how I used to be a tech at Future Shop and how I got into it with the tech guys because I was a salesperson for peripherals, and the techs were installing a CD burner incorrectly in a specific type of machine. And I told them how to do it, and they didn't listen. And then the customer returned everything. So I made a deal with the customer that I was like, look, I'll buy everything and bring it. If I get it to work properly, the way the techs refuse to do it, pay me for everything and pay me for the install, and you'll get the warranty and everything. So that's what I did. And it all worked out. And that I got in a fight with my manager about it, my tech manager at Future Shop. And then the store manager was like, well, you made the customer happy and they're a repeat customer now, so maybe you should be in the technician spot. And that's kind of how that happened. Which I didn't last as a technician, but I told that story earlier. Yeah, but being the burner, trust me, I know about being the burner. In high school, everybody was like, oh, Buddha can burn CDs. That was Duke. That was my nickname, Buddha. That was my DJ name, DJ Buddha. They're like, Buddha can burn CDs. And I was like, oh no. And then it was like, it was like anything, right? Like, you're a kid. You got cute girls coming up being like, can you burn this thing? Can you burn this thing for me? Kevin, you were downloading on dial-up at 2 kilobit per second. Yeah, I believe it. I completely believe it. We were talking earlier about the IT crowd, how it's like they were complaining about the routers and being like, oh, it's so slow. It's like the days of dial-up. You'd stay up all night, but you'd only see 2 girls. That joke kills me. I know I said it earlier in the stream, but that joke absolutely kills me. Yeah, no, it was the good old days. But I'm not against the technology that we have now. We have some pretty dope stuff. Like the idea, and I was saying this earlier, Mark, I don't know if you were on stream yet, but the idea that you can like pull your phone out without being at home and you can open an app like Netflix and watch a 3-hour movie in 4K if you choose to, with high quality sound and spatial audio and all that, where Duke and I were having a conversation earlier about interlaced JPEG downloads over dial-up, and you would only see the parts you wanted to see when the download would finish. Hilarious. Kevin says, when I first went over to Mark's place, he showed me high speed and I was amazed. You could listen to the song while it downloaded. Impossible. Yeah, I remember when I got Rogers, and back then it wasn't even Rogers at home. It was Rogers Wave. That was a disaster, but it was cool because I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting 20K a second. Wait a minute, an MP3 is like, at the time, 128 kilobits. So, or not kilobit. Either way, it was like faster than an MP3 could stream at. So I was like, I can play the MP3 while it's downloading? This is impossible. Totally legitimate non-copyright stuff. No pirate hats over here. Yeah. Let's see. Aaron told us to start making YouTube videos when we were at Club Minaj. I figured nobody's ever going to watch videos on a phone. Well, yeah. You know what's funny? I had a buddy of mine. What was the name? It wasn't the Sidekick. It was... This is like way before iPhone. I want to say this was like 2005. They called him the Buddha Napster. You're close. You're not far off. Duke, you're not far off at all. What was the name of the stupid phone? That's going to drive me nuts. It was a phone with a screen, and it was a Motorola something. This is before, like, video was a thing. And it had, like, this portal with, like, TSN and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm watching the hockey game. And then he got his bill. And his bill for a month of use with that new phone, right? And he bought the phone up front. His bill was $800 for watching one hockey game. And he had to, like, it wasn't the Sidekick and it wasn't the Razor. Yeah. And Mark says, believe it or not, it's cutting off the text. It's not Mark's fault. Soulseek is still around and better than ever. Yeah, it's interesting. Although, Mark, don't say that too loud because then, it'll go away. It wasn't a Razor phone. It wasn't a Sidekick. It wasn't a popular phone. It wasn't something that, like the Razor and the Sidekick you would see in music videos. Like those are the things that you'd see in like the Soulja Boy music videos and that kind of stuff. It wasn't that. I'm going to have to ask him. I'll let you know on the next stream. Somebody remind me to bring that up. I'm going to text them after the stream and ask them what phone that was. Oh, believe me, I remember the Peanut phone. Yeah. I just used LimeWire Web to transfer files between computers yesterday. That's hilarious. Hey, Kevin, when you played back some of those files, like, would you hear the chorus and then hear demo version? That is a sign of how old we are. Like, I remember you'd go to certain nightclubs and the DJs would be playing CDs that they burned off MP3s and you'd hear demo version, Duke says, bahaha. Yeah, it's, yeah, a few people did that to songs. Actually, no, so it wasn't the people that did it. Do you want to know? Here's what that actually was. The demo version tag, almost every label did it. The way I understood it, because I knew a friend who would contribute to Vibe magazine in the States and The Source, and she told me, and it was a friend of my other cousins in Florida, and she told me that when they would send CDs out for review to try to avoid piracy, what they did was they would send a copy of the CD, like a burn, with the demo tag. Problem is, somebody didn't realize that the demo tag was there, just put the CD in and ripped it and uploaded it to the internet as if it was like new, but it had the demo tag all over it. So those were actually magazine review CDs. Mark will remember me desperately trying to paste a 128 MP3 rip of Lola's theme over the instrumental, all because I wanted to play it so badly. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. Listen, the stuff we can do these days in the DJ world is actually kind of crazy. Super accessible. There are some within the industry who clearly didn't go through this kind of stuff because they are experienced. Mark knows I'm talking about a specific person. Don't say the name, but there are people in this industry who have the experience, know what the DJs want, provide stuff for DJs, and yet don't cater to them at all and don't even think about them. It's a very self-centered way to look at it. Like, I personally believe that if you're going to serve an audience, you should really be thinking about the audience you're serving, right? And that's kind of what Tech Mixer's about. That's why, like the title of the stream, to loop it all back, why some videos take forever on this channel is because I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. And I want to provide value and insight. And I want to make you think sometimes. Like the video I'm doing regarding, not about, but regarding the MacBook Neo is super interesting. And it's going to really, if it does well, it's going to hopefully make people think. Mark also got me playing Grand Theft Auto. Probably going to cost me another 1,000 this year. Special editions all around. Yeah, I believe it. Things that make you go, Hey, Mark, is that upscaled on the site? CNC? Things that make you go, Because Duke Seb just said that in the chat. So I know you're probably just passively listening and working if you're still even in here. I'm not on my daily account, so I can't log into Extendamix right now. Extendamix is the contract site that we work for. GTA is no joke. Average age of people playing is 32. You know what's funny? You guys can laugh at me for this. Back in 2013, when GTA 5 had came out, I bought it. I never finished it. Life was busy. I don't know. I just for me, I'm such a. Do you do missions or just create chaos? Column A, column B. If I'm in a mood to create chaos, see, this is the way I play video games. That's why I make fun of my Xbox. I call it the glorified Call of Duty machine. I just realized when I wear the Linus hoodie, it messes up my autofocus on the camera. So we're just not gonna wear this on stream anymore. The way I use my Xbox is I'm very casual. So like I'll play Call of Duty with my buddies, but it'll be like an hour, like every couple of weeks. Because I'll jump in, we'll jump into a lobby and we'll just play Nuketown for a while and or just talk crap to each other and catch up, and then I'm gone. Like I even like watching movies, like I don't really like sit down and watch a full movie anymore. Like it's rare, like when I do it. But to sit and play a video game, like I tried with GTA. I gave it a fair shot. I love this, but there's so many other things I want to be doing right now. Sometimes I took my son out of school for the day when GTA 4 came out so you could do the missions and unlock the game. I just make the cops mad and run away. Yeah, that's fun too. Getting wasted, but like the journey to getting wasted is fantastic. Sometimes I just play GTA with high X just for the laughs. GTA gives my life balance. Yeah, and you know what? That's important. That's why Call of Duty for me gives my life balance. I pay for it. I don't buy like the battle pass and all that crap because I don't care. I will make one class and run that class for the year, and then I'll just buy GTA or not GTA, sorry, Call of Duty again in November because that's all my Xbox is a glorified Call of Duty machine. It's a means for me to meet my buddies online, and like I got a buddy named John Blaze who I always play with. And every time he comes on, he's like, John Blaze. It's like, that's like his entrance. That's how he comes onto the game. And we're like, this guy's hilarious. And he's like, but like, one day he changed his gamer tag in game to Juan Blase. So we were laughing about that. And then when he gets like the final kill cam, it's like, uh-oh, who's this? Juan Blase. And we just like, we just talk crap. Is Sean just ignoring us? I don't see our comments on the screen. What are you talking about? I've been hitting them. I'm literally watching the stream, Mark. I'm watching it and seeing. I can see that. I just want to know I made it. Mark, I've been acknowledging everything you said. You and Kevin. Mark, are you watching the right stream? He can hear us, but he can't see us. He's watching the wrong live stream. Yeah, man. No, Mark, I'm talking to you guys. I don't know if you're watching the right stream. You're commenting on the right stream. Terminal is the most Windows app I've ever used. I don't know about that. I think, Mark, you're way behind. Yeah, hang on. Let's reply to Mark. Yeah. You are way behind if you're talking about the most Windows app ever used on Mac. We need to tell them. Scroll to the end where it's live currently. Okay. So Kevin K says, whoops, let me bring this back here. Terminal is better on Mac like everything else. Mark says, I'm about 17 minutes behind, just realized. Yeah, so if you scroll back a little bit, don't do it. But if you scroll back, you'll see the part where I was typing to you. Because I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been acknowledging you the whole time. You watching the right stream? Yeah. Speaking of, I don't think I'm going to stay on much longer because it's already 4:30 and I got to have dinner and I want to work on the footage that's on these two memory cards, this hard drive, this Neo, and this M3 Max has a bunch of stuff too for this MacBook adjacent video that I'm working on. I bought my first Mac from Mark too. Yeah, Mark's the gateway. I have learned so much knowing this guy. Incredible. Just a fountain of knowledge. Yeah. No, but like, so Duke, if you're still in here, yeah, so Mark and Kevin were like severely popular DJs in Toronto. Now I have you on 2X. I'll catch up. Okay, yeah. And Duke says I'm here. You gotta throw me on 2X. It was just the. Wait a minute. Did you just scroll to the. Oh my god. Just scroll to where we are. You're not gonna go on 2X because I'm gonna end the stream soon anyway. Yeah, I got like a bunch of stuff I gotta get done. And I want to get it done so that I don't lose my eligibility of returning the MacBook Neo. Yeah, but Mark and Kevin, don't mention. You guys know what I tried with the Neo. Don't mention it in the stream because I don't want to spoil what I'm going to do for that video. I have a plan. Kevin's probably sitting there going, how are you going to do that plan? YouTube has rules. I have a plan. I have a very hilarious plan I think I worked out that I don't think many have thought of that will make that work. And for those who aren't in on the DJ side of this, I know this sounds nebulous, but it will all make sense when the video comes out. So I am working on that. But yeah, like I was saying, it's like 4:36 at the moment, at the time of speaking. I'm probably going to run because I wanted to get on stream and talk to you guys. You guys were awesome. Thank Duke. Honestly, you know, if you ever have time, I didn't realize you were 3 hours behind. So what time is it there now? Like 1:36? If you're, is it 2 hours or 3 hours behind where you are? I'm not sure, but glad you jumped in. Weightlifting was in here. I mess up the names. So I see Mark. Let me thank the people. So Mark and Kevin, obviously. Voodoo Weightlifting was in here. Hassan was in here. Big shout out. I need to find him. He didn't comment a lot, but he did. He's in Bermuda. I'm trying to scroll through the comments, but it's dominated by Mark and Paul. And Mark thought that I was just ignoring him. Oh, there's a chat history issue. Well, that sucks. Hang on. Mac Pro. I'm trying to find it. It was Majesty, and I can't remember the full name. Yeah, Majesty of Yasharel. That's who it was. Yeah, thank you for jumping in. And also, there was another new person that came in, Zegween1, who just discovered the channel because of the fiber content. Yeah. Hassan is in Australia, which is 15 hours ahead. That's crazy. I just want to say thank you to all of you for coming in. I am going to run. I got a bunch of stuff I want to get done, and I want to get up at a decent hour tomorrow. I don't want to end up working all night on this stuff. But I'm excited for that video, and I hope the stream turned out okay, because as I said earlier, I literally rewired everything with 15 minutes to go before I was supposed to go live because I had to break everything apart. The camera might look a touch different because I had to move it for a technical reason. Yeah, content creation. But why some videos take forever on this channel is pretty simple, because I'm going as deep as I can with what I know. And I want to create videos that inspire conversation and get people thinking about other things that other tech YouTubers haven't really gotten to. So thank you all again for jumping in. Duke, hopefully I'll see you on Sunday. Hassan, hope I see you on Sunday. Your Majesty, I don't remember the rest of the name. I hope I see you on the Sunday. Voodoo Weightlifting, hope I see you. Mark, Kevin, obviously, love seeing you guys in here. Hope to catch you again. But in the meantime, my name is Sean, and this has been Tech Mixer. And I'm going to awkwardly be out while I pose with the peace sign. Peace.